Dubai,
Live there.
Canada,
Live there.
middle of nowhere.
Live there too.
Basically, we're really bad at staying put.
Or really good at packing boxes. We're still debating which.
Today's video is special.
Because we are sharing our full moving story.
And trust us, it's not what you think.
We're not going to do this chronologically because, well, we actually want you to watch the video.
Instead, we've broken it down into sections that cover everything from the why, the how, and the where to all the learnings that we've gleaned along the way.
So we're going to start with the why. Why we moved so much. There are obviously surface level reasons and deeper reasons. So we'll start with surface level.
Yeah, so this is everything from not being happy with the landlords that we had. We didn't like the area that we were living in.
There were rental hikes.
Yeah, sometimes the rent just went up and we were like, no, we're not paying that.
And other times we just couldn't work through our emotions and we threw our hands in the air and just left.
Yeah, we refused to try and practice any kind of acceptance.
Yeah, we just didn't want to deal with the thing, so we just ran away.
Yeah. On a deeper level, I think even though we didn't set out to move as much as we have over the last 27 years, I don't think anybody in their sane minds would.
Yeah.
But there are obviously deeper reasons at play that we've only been able to notice now. Like, for example, you know, there's that old adage of wherever you go, there you are. And I think that's something we didn't really take into account. So we might have been struggling with things within us, but each time we felt, oh, a move is going to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And it didn't.
It really never did.
The other thing we've learned, and again in retrospect, is that there are practical moves and then there are impulsive moves. And a lot of times, like we said, our moves were impulsive. We were fed up with the landlord, or we didn't like the fact that the neighbors were making a noise, or whatever else. But sometimes we also didn't consider going into a place what we needed or what it could potentially give us.
Yes.
And that's why we got ourselves into trouble a lot of time without thinking ahead. So one example was we decided to build a house, and it was quite isolated from what
in the outskirts.
Yeah. So what happened there is that we ended up spending our weekends in the car, trawling shopping centers and going from coffee shop to coffee shop, basically because the house was lovely, but we didn't like being there because the area didn't serve our needs in any way. Let's take a quick break to give you our final update on our Magic Mind experience.
After just 2 weeks, we can really confidently say this stuff works, eh?
Yeah. The mental clarity and sustained energy throughout the day are game changers for us.
We also really love how it's leveled up our meditation practice and has kept our stress levels at bay, even on really busy days.
So if you're on the fence about taking Magic Mind, we say go for it.
So you can head over to magicmind.com/mostlymindful and you can use the code mostlymindful20 and you'll get up to 48% off your subscription for the next 10 days. Such a fantastic deal. Sadly, we can't keep using Magic Mind.
As much as it aligns with our values when it comes to quality and mental wellness, the carbon footprint of shipping it internationally is just too big and it doesn't align with our environmental ethos.
That said though, for our US viewers, we highly recommend it. It's an amazing product and obviously when sourced locally, absolutely fine. So if you're in the US, go for it.
We've just been so grateful that we had the opportunity to actually try it, and we can say without a doubt that it works. So let us know if you try it. We'd be keen to hear your experience. Once we realized that we were making these kind of mistakes, is we identified for ourselves what we call the triangle of needs.
Yeah.
And this was quite a game changer for us. So at that point, this was pre-COVID. So it was going to the office, going to gym and going shopping. So our place needed to fit within that triangle. And then things really started shifting after that.
And that was actually specifically, we formulated that for a car-free life. We've realized over the years that if your reason for moving is deep enough, you'll be able to deal with most things. And our recent move is a great example of that.
It really is, because now that we have Miles, he has to come first. We have to consider him, because he is quite a stressed out rescue putty. He needs his own space and he needs a garden to be happy. So we love our little apartment, and the garden is of course perfect for him. But if we're honest, the area, it's too far from town where we would prefer to live. But for now, we're very happy to stay here, because the reason, as in Miles, is
big enough.
Yeah. So this was something, if we'd thought about these sort of things back then,
we might not have moved.
We might not have moved nearly
as
much.
It took us 18 years to realize that you don't need the stuff to survive.
Yeah. I mean, can you believe we did all those moves up until that point with a house full of stuff? I mean, no wonder I was so frazzled in 2008 and insisted that we sell everything. I mean, it just shows you how conditioned you are in this Western lifestyle to have stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, once we sold it, we realized how little you actually needed. So there was an emotional attachment for us.
That was really a turning point for us. It really made our lives so much easier to realize that you don't have to cart that stuff around with you if you do insist on moving house as many times as we do. I think also this kind of prompted that whole minimalist lifestyle, because once we sold the stuff and had that revelation that you don't need it, then it wasn't too long after that we sold the car that we had at the time and embarked on a car-free lifestyle for the next 8 years.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some practical wisdom when it comes to moving. And one of the top things is deciding when to move versus when not to move. You know, if you've got a real practical reason, like for example, you get a new job in a different part of the world, obviously you're going to move. Yes. But maybe you're just feeling unsettled or bored. You know, you really have to weigh up, is your boredom because of your home or your environment, or because you aren't making an effort to meet new people and try new hobbies?
Another thing is to identify the needs and make sure they are near to the place you're going to move.
Yeah, like for example, like we said earlier with our triangle, you know, shopping, gym, whatever's important to you, and also traffic. Like if you are still driving to an office, that you're not in a place where the traffic is hectic.
Yeah, or maybe you fetching and carrying children, or you have a club that you join every week. You know, that's something to keep in mind.
And then if you do end up in a place that's more isolated, maybe you want to try living on a farm for a while like we did, which was lovely, but then you need to make the effort. So when you go into town, perhaps you go to the local church, or you find a gardening or a hiking club to join, just some way to still have your own community and not end up feeling isolated.
Yeah, we didn't do too well on that front.
Not at all.
Very isolated. And then the last one is really, really important. Managing the emotional and wellness aspects of the move, so that your settling in period, that you're aware of it, because we all go through it, but that you're aware of what you need to do to bounce back really quickly. You know, we all have to take a moment and order takeaways, or maybe not meditate as often, or maybe you skip an exercise session. But be aware and then make a plan to get back there like really quickly. Yeah,
so like you get settled after your move really quickly. Take the weekend, get settled, and then back to normal life.
Yeah.
Because we've had parts where like it's taken us a couple of weeks to actually get settled.
The faster you do it, the better. You can get settled around the stuff that you haven't unpacked. I know it feels weird, but if you get back into your routine, then it's easier to unpack even.
Such a good point.
Thank you.
And of course, as we mentioned earlier, internal unhappiness follows you wherever you go. Yeah. And moving's doesn't help with that. So if you're unhappy, you have to work on yourself. You can't just move house. I mean, maybe that's obvious to a lot of people, but it took us a long time.
Clearly wasn't to us.
No, many homes later.
So, I mean, I think we've kind of realized what the secret is to to feeling settled and not just throwing our hands up in the air and running away. In this case, it's miles.
Yeah.
You know, it's given us a big why.
And also, I was thinking another big why, could also be the other thing, because our triangle of needs changed. And when we were looking for this place, it was we need a garden for Miles, and we wanted to be close to one of the Art of Living centres. That was really, really important to us. It was a big why. So, you know, other things don't matter as much to us. I mean, this is something I really wish we'd learnt earlier, but oh well, that's how your journey goes, right?
Exactly. So now we've got, like, some of the parts are perfectly addressed.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel happier here.
Yeah, me as
have in a lot of places.
Yeah, me as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let us know in the comments, how many times have you moved? Because we've met people. We had a colleague in Toronto who has lived in the same house her entire life.
Yes, she was born there.
Her childhood home, after her parents passed away, she inherited that home, and that's the only place she's ever lived.
Yeah.
It completely blows my mind. But then if she knows our lifestyle, she'd also be like, what?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Let us know where you are on that
that
spectrum.
scale.
We'd love to hear.
Yeah. And what you've learned, you know, share with the community, because I'm sure there's other lessons, you know, more than what we've gleaned out of our moves. We'd love to hear that too.
Yeah. So that's it. Our long story about moving so many times in 27 years.
And what we've learned, and that we are far happier now
than we've ever been, really.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
quite true. So on that note, keep it simple,
Keep it
happy,
and age with intention. Bye.
Bye.
I'm being your what do you call it? Like your stooge.
Instead, we've broken it down into sections that cover everything.
Funk. I'm going to start that again.
Okay. I think let's talk about some practical wisdom.
Oh, you're taking over from me.